Happy Tuesday, everybody. I hope you're having a good day today so far. So, as you can see, I did not do a podcast on Monday, mostly because I've been sick. I know I mentioned that the last time I posted that I was sick. I don't remember if I had gotten to the point where I was diagnosed. I have vertigo from being congested at one point, but I had really bad sinus congestion along with getting dizzy like multiple times throughout the day. I missed work a couple times for that, and then I scheduled Monday and Tuesday off so I could just get some rest and go get my eyes checked too, because I'm wondering if that's not also playing a part in the dizziness from straining my eyes to see through a prescription that no longer works for me. So I've taken some time off. I've rested. I feel a lot better. My voice is still kind of hoarse, but it's okay, because I wanted to talk about the Allen, Texas shooting, okay? The first thing I wanted to bring up about that is I was on Twitter, and Steven Crowder posted a video of something from his show when he asked, what would you have done if you were in that black truck? So there's a black truck, okay? And, there's a black truck. Let me pull it. So, this is what's going on, okay? You hear the shooting. Then here's the black truck drives away. So, the question was, if you were in the black truck, what would you do? And then, of course, Elijah pointed out that due to the way that the subway vet was treated in New York, makes people not want to intervene. Even in Texas, I don't think in Texas, actually, I truly don't think that this would happen in Texas, but if you were to have intervened with the mass shooter and tried to stop him, would you go to jail? Yes or no? I don't think so. Not in Texas. But I think it also depends how you do it. But I was answering Steven's question. I didn't even pay attention to what Elijah had posted. And I just said, run him over. And immediately when I posted that, the second I posted it, I got a notification from Twitter saying that I was banned from sending tweets, retweeting anything, sharing any types of pictures or anything for 12 hours. Now, I can like tweets, I can send DMs, as long as the DM does not include the screenshot of the violation that I got from Twitter. I couldn't send that. So immediately, I sent Elijah a message and told him that I was banned, what I was banned for, and he's like, what? I'm like, yeah. So he shared it, and he came back up here, and he was sharing what it was about, to prove the point where I said the guy shouldn't have run him over with this truck, because he would have been treated like a criminal. Someone just got suspended on Twitter for commenting that the guy in the truck should have run over the mass shooter. Think about that, at Elon Musk. And then he adds that my handle, that I'm the one that got locked out of my account. Now, for anybody who has been following me on Twitter, adding me to follow on your profile, I will follow you. I'm just not allowed to even follow people on Twitter for, now it's like 5 more hours to go. I saw this article in the Blaze, by Courtney Weil. 6-year-old girl forced to perform sex act on boy while another classmate filmed. So, parents whose children attend an elementary school in Texas. Whoa! Texas! I didn't pick this story because I knew it was in my own state. Okay, now I'm really mad. Okay. Parents whose children attend an elementary school in Texas are demanding answers after they learned that a first-grade girl was allegedly sexually assaulted by other students during class. Let me tell you, when it involves children and this kind of stuff, Mama Bear comes out. Because it doesn't matter if it's my child or just a child. You don't mess with children. It's disgusting. And where do these kids that are doing this learn it? From what they're allowed to watch, what their parents do in front of them, what they're being taught. That's why. So on April 19th, an unnamed 6-year-old girl was reportedly forced underneath a desk at South Elementary School in Plainview, Texas, and made to perform a sex act on another student, while yet another classmate filmed it on a school-issued iPad. According to the statement issued by the district, the incident, quote, occurred away from the full vision of the teacher, end quote, who was then attending to another group of students. Man, when I was in school, doesn't matter if my teacher was up at the front of the classroom helping a student, she would know if you were back there doing something you weren't supposed to be doing. If you disappeared from your desk, she'd be like, where are you going? Hey, why'd you leave your desk? I mean, that is the worst defense of that teacher. She was out of their eyesight. Come on. The school apparently learned about the incident the following day after another teacher confiscated the devices of several students who were not performing their assigned tasks. One such device was protected by a password and required the assistance of a technician to unlock. Once the device was unlocked, school officials discovered inappropriate content, the statement said. The content is believed to be related to the alleged sexual assault of the young girl, though administrators have not confirmed that suspicion since the incident involves minors who have a right to privacy. According to the district statement, both law enforcement and child protective services have been involved in investigating the matter. By April 27th, the teacher had been placed on administrative leave pending further investigation, and each of the students involved had been interviewed and their parents contacted, the district claimed. The girl's family has told a different story, saying they learned about the incident from the girl, not from school administrators. According to the family, the girl began behaving strangely at the time of the alleged incident. Her adult cousin, Heather Gonzalez, shared that the girl complained of stomach aches and other ailments. She's in distress. You can tell something's wrong with her, Gonzalez said. When pressed, the girl reportedly first revealed that a male student had exposed himself to her at lunch. She later divulged the alleged sexual assault, telling her family that she repeatedly hit one of her assailants with a poetry book during the attack and kept fighting until they let her go. And you're telling me a teacher didn't hear that commotion? Please. They wanted to cover it up and hope that no one else found out. Gonzalez claimed that the school stonewalled the family when they tried to get answers about the incident. Everything was no comment. I cannot tell you. No comment, she said. Outrage about the district's supposed lack of transparency has led to at least 2 public protests, and school was canceled on May 8th because of ongoing threats of violence to teachers and staff members, the Plainview Herald reported. Still, parents are refusing to back down. A 6-year-old was exposed to things that even adults would have a hard time overcoming, said a parent of a student at another elementary school. This is trauma at its worst, and it is trickle-down effect because it affects everyone around them. Sarah Fields, a self-described Republican and investigative journalist, asserted that the district has even threatened teachers and staff with retaliation if they speak publicly about the incident. Quote, the teacher and staff are being told to be quiet or they will be fired. The family is being treated by the school as if they caused this and that this is their fault. We will not be quiet and we will not sit down. Fields stated that yet another protest is scheduled for May 18th, during a local board of trustees meeting. Yeah, so what it sounds like, that the teacher knew it happened, I guarantee it, teacher knew it happened, was hoping that they wouldn't find out, they're not going to tell nobody, we're just going to keep it quiet, but they didn't expect the girl to go home and tell somebody what actually happened, because a lot of the times kids don't. And we don't know what maybe they told her about, well, if you say something, we don't know if they try to convince her to not, tell anybody what happened. So, despite the negative publicity, Plainsview ISD Superintendent H.D. Sanchez defended his actions and the actions of the other district staff and administrators. Quote, we hope to find a direction with parents and students forward, definitely for the young people and how we can help them heal and move forward. As of Monday afternoon, the school website is down and the district's Twitter and Facebook accounts have not commented on the incident. My cousin is still at a desk with all boys, having to see her abusers every day, Gonzalez said. Are you letting these other parents know their kids could possibly be a victim next? I feel like, as a parent, you should know. All of the steps that were required to take, we took, Sanchez said. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. I guarantee you that they didn't tell anybody. Actor Scot Baio is leaving California. I wanted to see why it is he's leaving California. And it might have something to do with the $800 billion in reparations that they just approved. So, he said, after 45 years, I'm making my way to finally exit stage right from California. He cited data gathered by Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority showing that there were nearly 70,000 homeless people in Los Angeles County in a survey taken last year. The same survey showed there were more than 40,000 homeless people living in Los Angeles city limits. It is the largest homeless population in the country. This brings down property value, Baio said of the homeless problem. Also, no consequences for crime that is rampant, making things higher in price, and it's just not a safe place anymore. Meanwhile, Los Angeles battled growing crime problems in 2022. So Los Angeles saw an 11% increase in its overall crime rate in 2022, with 60 reported crimes per 1,000 residents last year, compared with 54 per 1,000 residents in 2019. It's not that much lower. The data includes both violent crimes defined by the FBI to include rape, robberies, armed assault, and homicide, as well as property crimes such as burglary, arson, and vehicle theft. It seems certain that Baio will make good on his promise to leave Los Angeles. Last month, he listed his property located in Woodland Hills in an LA neighborhood for $3.85 million. He purchased a 5-bedroom, 4.5-bathroom home for $1.85 million in 2010. California is experiencing a problem with residents moving out of the state. Between April 2020 and July 2022, for example, more than 500,000 residents left, including the high-profile celebrities like Mark Wahlberg, Joe Rogan, Matthew McConaughey, among others. High taxes, crime problems, the homeless epidemic, and government restrictions, especially those enacted during the COVID pandemic, are the primary reasons why people are leaving California. Yeah, and I feel like 250 to 300,000 of those 500,000 came to Texas. This is the last one. Post-Christian social ethics. Alarming number of young Canadians think the poor and mentally ill should be eligible for voluntary extermination by the state. I mean, they're saying, yeah, go ahead, kill them. It's all right. We have such a problem in our world, not just our country, our world. Canada is one of several Western nations rushing to loosen the laws around euthanasia. While its expansion of access to voluntary extermination by the state can be attributed in part to a concerted campaign in recent years by the leftist Trudeau government, it is clear that a significant portion of the population is also on board. A new survey from the Vancouver-based market research company has found that 73% of Canadians support the current euthanasia regime in Canada, whereby adults with an irremediable, probably still wrong, medical condition can consent to be put down by the state. However, a significant cohort of younger respondents indicated a keenness to radically expand the option to the poor and the homeless. Mario Canseco, president of Research Co., indicated that on the basis of a poll conducted from April 22nd to April 24th among 1,000 adults, 43% said mental illness is a good enough reason for a Canadian over the age of 18 to seek state-assisted suicide. 20% said state-assisted suicide should always be allowed. 24% said parents who helped off their terminally ill son or daughter should receive no penalty whatsoever. 50% said they would support the volunteered extermination of persons with disabilities. 28% said they would agree to allow adults to receive state-assisted suicide due to poverty. And 27% said they would agree to allow adults to receive state-assisted suicide due to homelessness. The response varied greatly by generational cohort. I would bet, you see the numbers are higher down on the younger age, And also under females, it looks like they may be higher. But I'm not going to take a look to review that, but if you want to check it out. So 60% of respondents in the 18 to 34 age group said that a person with a disability should be able to request a state-administered suicide. By way of comparison, 46% of respondents in the 35 to 54 age group and 44% of those in the 55 plus age group suggested that the disabled should be eligible for voluntary extermination. Well, I'm sorry, but 44% and 46% are still way too high to think that that's okay. 41% of those in the 18 to 34 age group answered that homelessness was a good enough reason. 29% are in the 35 to 54 age group and agreed that the homeless should be given a legal, lethal way out of the Canadian government. Zoomers and millennials, majoritively 55%, reportedly reckon mental illness is a justifiable reason for state-assisted suicide. The Blaze previously reported that as of March 17, 2023, Canadians whose only medical condition is a mental illness are able to request state-assisted euthanasia. That includes persons suffering from depression, bipolar disorder, PTSD, and various other mental illnesses. Some suspect a correlation between this apparent support for the state's elimination of the weak and infirm and the decline of religion in Canada, a nation that recently removed all Christian religious imagery from its heraldry and has witnessed a precipitous decline in regular religious engagement. Historian and broadcaster Tom Holland said of the survey results, quote, "Now this really is post-Christian," end quote. Mary Harrington, an editor at Unheard, similarly remarked, quote, "Welcome to post-Christian social ethics," end quote. Statistics Canada indicated that whereas religious affiliation was approximately 85% among Canadians born between 1940 and 1959, that number is 32% for those born between 1980 and 1999, reported Global News. David Brooks, writing in The Atlantic, indicated that euthanasia laws seen in Canada and elsewhere throughout the Anglosphere reveal what, quote, happens when a society takes individualism to its logical conclusion, end quote. While Brooks suggested Canada's so-called medical assistance in dying program was originally a quote-unquote well-defined, he acknowledged that the movement to extinguish complicated lives raced precisely to those extremes where critics like Cardinal Thomas Collins of Toronto said it would go. Collins wrote in 2020, quote, "Pain medication and other resources and procedures can indeed be used effectively to medically assist people who are dying. But that is not what MAID involves. It means giving a lethal injection to people who are not dying so that they will die," end quote. He also said, those who oppose euthanasia expressed concern in 2016 when it was first legalized that once the state legally provided death for some, it would only be a matter of time before its criteria would be expanded. This was dismissed as a slippery slope argument. We were told that safeguards would protect the most vulnerable. Now, less than 4 years later, here we are far down the slope. Collins stressed that those persons whom younger Canadians now see as prime candidates for voluntary extermination, quote, should never be seen as a burden to our society. These people need assisted living, not assisted death, end quote. In his Atlantic piece, Brooks wrote, quote, "As assisted suicide has become an established part of the Canadian society, the complex moral issues surrounding the end of life have drifted out of sight. Decisions tend to be made within a bureaucratic context where utilitarian considerations can come to dominate the foreground." Over 10,000 Canadians were put down by the state via MAID in 2021, making up a 3.3% of all deaths in Canada that year. Well over 31,664 Canadians have been killed via the MAID program since 2016. 81% of euthanasia requests were approved. Columnist Ross Dowsett, wrote in the New York Times in December that, quote, "It is barbaric to establish a bureaucratic system that offers death as a reliable treatment for suffering and enlists the healing profession in delivering this cure And while there may be worse evils ahead, this isn't a slippery slope argument. When 10,000 people are availing themselves of your euthanasia system every year, you have already entered the dystopia, end quote. He further stressed that, quote, the further the de-Christianization proceeds, the stronger the impulse to rationalize the new order with implicit reassurances that it's what some higher power wants, end quote. The Spectator noted last year how prior to the legalization of the Maid Amendments, Canada's Parliamentary Budget Officer released a report indicating how much money would be saved as a result of Bill C-7, which broadened and loosened the language of Canada's euthanasia law. Extra to the $86.9 million per year previously saved by state-facilitated killings, an additional $62 million in cost would be reduced. The Trudeau government recognized that it could save money by taking lives, even if the taxpayers had to pay $2,327 every time a fellow citizen reached the breaking point. The man credited with founding the Canadian healthcare system, Tommy Douglas, was a eugenicist who advocated for the sterilization and segregation of some of the very people now being exterminated by the state. And let me tell you why the millennials are the problem with this one too. Because they have been desensitized and taught that there is no value on human life. Only their life is only valuable. Nobody else's. And if it interrupts with what they want to do, then you're not valuable. And they're even told that they're not valuable, to be quite honest. That they're a group. They're not an individual person with individual freedoms and rights, God-given rights, but they're a part of this group, and they can't step out of the group. Just disgusting. Okay, I think we're done. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time. So anyway, thank you for joining me. You can get me on Rumble. This might get deleted off of YouTube. I don't know. So you can find me on Rumble. You can find me on YouTube. In about 4.5 hours, I'll be back on Twitter. And I do have a locals as well. I don't know what my locals is. So I'll have to look that up. Because I don't know. So I'll have to look that up. And I'll get back to you. And please don't forget to subscribe to Rumble and YouTube for me. Help me out. Go and follow me on Twitter. I'm also on Facebook, but that's for family mostly. And I'm on Instagram, but I don't really share a lot on there either. So Twitter and Rumble are going to be the best places to find things of mine. Anyway, I hope you have a good rest of your day. Thank you for joining me, and God bless.